to our next lesson. All right, so we're gonna continue solving linear equations, but we're gonna go over more complicated examples. All right, so get ready. We're still gonna be using the same simplification and the three main concepts of math. So if you need to reference those, make sure that your notes are out. All right, so as you can see, I have a more complicated example here. But again, we're going to follow the same process. So the first thing, do I need to simplify? And the answer is yes. I see that there's a -3 in front of a parentheses. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute that -3. Okay, and remember, you want to get the whole -3 and simplify or distribute it to everything that is inside that parentheses. All right, so let's go ahead and rewrite the example. I'm going to drop the -3. Okay, -3x, and then I get -3 times 5, which is -15, and then I get -3 times 5x, which is -15x, and now I don't need the parentheses anymore, equals -51. All right, I'm going to go ahead and create my line. Now the next question is, can I simplify further? Do I have any like terms? And the answer is again, yes. I see that there's a -15x there, and I see that there's a 3x. They both have an x, which means that you can actually combine like terms. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So now my equation is going to be 3x minus -15, which is -12x. And then I'm just going to drop the -15 there. Equals -51. Perfect. So now I can go ahead and solve. And remember, this is simplifying. Okay, that's all I'm doing right now. Now let's get to the solving part. All right, so let's go ahead and make my first 0. I see a -15. Remember, I gotta leave the x by itself until the end. So I gotta get rid of the -15. How can I make that into a 0? Well, do the opposite. Add 15. Whatever you do to one side, you're gonna go ahead and do it to the other. So now I got, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the -12, -15x, or -15 plus 15 equals 0, so I don't have to write it down, and -51 plus 15 equals -36. Cool. Let's continue to solve this. Now I gotta make that -12 into a 1. So how can I make -12 into a 1? Well, I can divide it by itself. Whatever you do to one side, you're gonna go ahead and do it to, you're gonna go ahead and do it to the other. Notice though that I am keeping the negative side, or the negative sign, sorry. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what we get. -12 divided by 12, that equals 1, so I'm left with 1. X equals -36 divided by -12 equals 3. And that is my answer. And again, this is the solving part. Perfect. All right, I got one more problem for you. Now, we got problem or example number 2, and as soon as you see it, you get that kind of crazy feeling of, man, I got to do fractions. All right, well, fractions are not that scary, and we're going to be using our calculator too to kind of help us out. There's 2 different ways you could do this. All right, there's actually 3, but I'm only going to show you 2 for just so you don't get confused. So I'm going to go ahead and write this one down, and I'm going to write another one. X minus 3 equals 3. All right, so I'm going to show you both examples. So here, you're probably thinking, okay, I need to distribute because there's a parentheses and there's a 1/5 right in front of it, okay? I don't want you to do that right now because it's going to look very ugly. Here's what I want you to do. I need to get rid of that 1 over 5, okay? Now, how can I do that? Well, let's try to make it into a 1, all right? How can we make 1 over 5 into a 1? Well, we can either multiply or we can even divide. We're actually going to try both. Let's go ahead and multiply. Actually, let's go ahead and divide 1 over 5 to both sides. All right? Well, let's see what we get. 1 over 5 divided by 1 over 5 is just 1. Okay? So I am left with 1 times x minus 3 equals 3 over 5 divided by 1 over 5. It's actually 3. And you can use your calculator for that. Okay? All right. Well, here's the thing. Now I have a 1 in front of the parentheses. Do I need to simplify? Sure, you can do that. If you distribute 1 to both numbers, you're going to get 1x minus 1 times negative 3, which is 3, equals 3. And I'm going to go ahead and do my line. Perfect. All right, now let's just go ahead and solve it. How can I make that negative 3 into a 0? Well, what's the opposite of negative 3? You're going to go ahead and add 3. And let's see what I got left. Well, I got 1x left. Negative 3 plus 3 equals 0. And then 3 plus 3 equals 6. So my answer is 6. All right, so that's one way to do it. So this is method number 1. Let's go ahead and do the other one. Cool. So again, I'm trying to get rid of that 1 over 5, right? Well, we already tried to divide it. How about let's try to multiply? Okay? Now, to be able to do that, you're going to go ahead and multiply it by the reciprocal. Well, how do we do that? We're going to multiply both sides, not by 1 over 5, but by 5 over 1. Whatever I do to one side, I'm going to go ahead and do it to the other. So I'm going to multiply the other side by 5 over 1. And this is what we call the reciprocal. Multiply by the reciprocal. All right? Cool. Well, what is that going to do? It's basically going to turn it into a 1, because 5 divided by 5 equals 1, and 1 divided by 1 equals 1. So now you're done. It basically goes into 1, which leaves you with 1 times x minus 3 equals, let's try to do the same thing over here. 5 divided by 5 equals 1, and then 3 divided by 1 equals 3. So that leaves you with 1 times 3, which is just 3. All right, so let's go ahead and simplify this. So that is 1x minus 3 equals 1 times 3, which is just 3. And now we can go ahead and solve it. All right, so let's make that negative 3 into a 0. So we're going to add 3 to both sides. Okay, I'm left with 1x. Negative 3 plus 3 equals 0. And then 3 plus 3 equals 6. And I get the same answer. And this would be method number 2.